Should I lie to someone facing death? I've often wondered how I would respond to someone who was close to death, or who was terrified at the prospect of death, or who was faced with the death of someone close to them. If they were to ask me, "Do you believe in life after death? Is death the end, or is it a gateway to something better?" Once upon a time, when I was an Anglican priest, especially when I was working as a chaplain in a major metropolitan hospital, I was asked this question frequently. Well, you would think so, right? Actually, that wasn't the case. People assumed they knew what I believed, namely that there was some kind of better life awaiting them after death. Even if they didn't identify as Christians, they would assume that that's what I believed. And they would also often assume that themselves, even if they had only some vague notion of God, or even no belief in God at all. So I usually didn't have to answer this question because I wasn't asked it. The truth is, though, that even back then, I wasn't really comfortable with these kinds of discussions. I'm honestly not sure exactly what I did believe about this. I certainly didn't believe in the conventional images that people have of heaven. This seemed naive to me and also somewhat fantastical. If I believed anything, it was probably something vague about a person's energy continuing in some way, or in the later stages of my increasing disbelief, maybe it was about living on in people's hearts and memories, or in the legacy they left behind. These things I could talk comfortably about. Before you confront me with how strange it is that someone who was a minister of the Christian religion didn't necessarily believe in life after death in the conventional sense, bear in mind that belief in life after death is not an essential part of believing in God. For centuries, the people of Israel got along just fine with no real belief in any kind of afterlife at all. Although for many people this is the reason for believing in God today, that it implies some kind of continued existence after death, there must be something more than this, right? This did not form part of the Jewish belief system until fairly late, around the time of the return from the exile in Babylon and in the Greco-Roman period. Before that, the people of Israel had no real belief in an afterlife, certainly nothing concrete, nothing very detailed, just a few vague ideas, but it wasn't a central part of their religious faith. You can believe in God without believing in an afterlife, and you can also believe in an afterlife without believing in God. The soul, or whatever, some kind of energy, survives the death of the body. Many people want, in fact need, to believe this when they're faced with their own imminent death or with the death of someone they love. Which brings us to the motivation for people asking this question. It's not an academic question. They're not asking for a factual response. It's a request for comfort. I was never particularly good at this touchy-feely emotional stuff, even as a chaplain. I found it very difficult to respond to this emotional need if it meant sacrificing the rational response. I think I would find this question even more difficult to answer today if, say, one of my grandchildren asked this kind of question if they were confronted with the reality of death. Look, we lie to kids about the world all the time, especially young kids, and I get why we do. There's a song by Taylor Swift called Robin on her Tortured Poets department, the anthology. It's written about the young son of one of her producers. Some of the lyrics go like this. Long may you reign. You're an animal. You are bloodthirsty. Out window panes, talking utter nonsense. You have no idea. Strings tied to levers, slowed down, clocks tethered. All this showmanship to keep it, for you, in sweetness. Way to go, tiger. Higher and higher, wilder and lighter, for you. A little later she says, "Buried down deep and out of your reach, the secret we all vowed to keep from you in sweetness. Way to go, tiger." And again, you got the dragonflies above your bed, you have a favourite spot on the swing set, you have no room in your dreams for regrets. You have no idea the time will arrive for the cruel and the mean. You'll learn to bounce back just like your trampoline, but now we'll curtail your curiosity in sweetness. Way to go, tiger. This song is all about protecting young children from the cruelty and harshness of the world. And among that cruelty and harshness is the fact that one day the people you love are going to die. You are going to die. We lie to our children to protect them. So how do you answer the question the young child asks, what happens when you die? Most of us probably lie. Even if we don't believe in God or in the afterlife ourselves, we probably pretend to our children that we do, or we present some vague, fuzzy response. But in fact, in the face of this question, many of us remain children ourselves. It's not only biological children that ask this question, but the inner child of the adult. What happens when you die? I think maybe we often ask this question more with respect to the people we love rather than with respect to ourselves. We can't bear to think that the people we love will just end, just cease to be. But of course, closely linked to that is the need to believe that this is not the end of our relationship with that person. We want to believe that we will see them again, that we will one day be reunited with them. I think this desire exists quite independently of any beliefs we might hold regarding God. I don't want to be asked this question by someone I know is really seeking comfort from me. My actual answer is no. I don't believe there is any life after this. This is all we have. That's sad, sure, but not wanting it to be true isn't enough to prevent it from being true. But I don't think I can say this so bluntly when the person is so obviously distressed and in need of reassurance. I hope that, in fact, they understand what my position on this is. I've hardly kept it a secret over the years. But in this moment of crisis, I'm not someone who is inclined to give false assurances or make false promises. I always cringe when a detective in a TV show promises the victim or the victim's parents that they will catch the person who did this, or promises the parents of a child who is missing that they will find the child alive, or even just general assurances that everything will be okay. Even that makes me feel uncomfortable, even though I understand that this is what the person wants and maybe needs to hear at this moment. But promises like that will come back to bite you on the arse. So how do I answer the question of the grieving person, or the person who may be about to lose someone they love, or the person who is about to die themselves when they ask me, what happens when you die? I'm comfortable myself with what I believe to be the true answer. When we die, that's it. That's the end. That doesn't bother me at all. But can I say this to the hurting person in front of me? Look, I can say something like, I don't believe that there's any life after death, but how would I know? I could be wrong. Many people think I am wrong. What do you believe? Is that okay to say? It's the honest thing to say, but is it the right thing to say? What would you say? What have you said?